how do you deal with a historic crisis when you have the boot of another country on your neck? That's the question Mexico has been trying to answer during the past few weeks. The Free Trade Zone of North America encompasses the United States, Canada, and Mexico. For reasons that are far too long to get into in this video, Mexico went from a newly independent nation to one decidedly under the heel of its northern sibling. Today, the United States exercises an unprecedented level of control over the country's economy. We saw this in action on Tuesday, April 21st, when the US ambassador of Mexico launched a campaign to keep US factories open in northern Mexico. These factories are parts of the free trade zones, where companies enjoy relaxed environmental laws, labor protections, and taxes, and they manufacture all kinds of things, from airplane fuel to car parts to McDonald's signs even. The authorities had closed the foreign factories after hundreds of COVID cases had been discovered within their walls. But only 3 weeks since their closure, the gates were busted wide open as the Baja California state government succumbed to pressure from the US federal government and US companies. On May 1st, thousands of workers returned to work with a suite of new restrictions meant to protect the workers. Workers now need to wear face masks, need to apply hand sanitizer every time they enter, stand 6 feet apart, and so on. The moment I heard about this, I decided to check it out and see if these companies were actually following these labor protections. It wasn't going to be easy. The industrial parks are guarded, and with the extra governmental pressure on them, security might be tighter than usual, so recording wasn't going to be easy. But nonetheless, we decided to make the trip down south to see how far we could get before getting thrown out. So it's currently 11:40 on Friday, so a little groggy. Right now we're going to Tecate. We're gonna try to get inside one of the factories and see how that's going. I mean, I'm kind of scared. Like, I don't know how that's gonna go. You know, they have guards and everything. I'm thinking we're just gonna say like, oh, we're looking for a job, like, you know, and then I'll see how I can get some footage. I mean, this isn't really planned out. It's just gonna happen, and I'm gonna see if we can make it happen. After about 45 minutes or so, we made it to the border. But I decided to stop recording before I started raising any eyebrows. Getting caught up at the border is the last thing I want. After drinking some coffee and taking a nap, we decided to head out with my dad at the driver's seat. Being a factory worker himself, I figured he'd be the best shot we had at making this work. And we had the perfect alibi for entering the industrial park.
A ver si nos dejan pasar, vamos a ver si nos dejan pedir trabajo, ir a pedir trabajo.
Yeah, porque esa es la excusa, que vamos a pedir trabajo. Right as we approached the gates, I decided to put the camera down.
Vamos por aquí.
Pasamos los guardias. Ya entramos. Miraculously, the guards didn't ask any questions and just let us through. Phase 1 was complete. Now the difficult part was to get some footage and try to get inside a factory without blowing our cover. While we were inside, we drove around the property, making sure to snap images of every single American company that was doing business in Mexico. Arroyo Holdings. When I learned that US factories were reopening in Mexico, I had extremely mixed feelings. I was glad that people wouldn't go hungry and have work, but incensed at the idea of the United States pushing for the exploitation of Mexican workers. While Baja Californianos toiled away, those in California remained in the quarantine. That doesn't sound very fair. After a trip around the park, I knew it was time. There was one factory that looked a little more isolated than the rest, and I figured if I was going to get in anywhere, that'd be my best choice. I put my phone to record in my pocket, and unsurprisingly, there was a guard waiting for me. Here we go. One of the buildings. Oye, ¿no sabes si están contratando aquí? ¿Sí? Ah, ok. Bueno, gracias. No hay trabajo. Foiled. Maybe if I came back another day to do an official tour, I would be able to find my way inside, But today wouldn't be it. In only a few minutes, the workers would be clocking off en masse and heading home. The day was done. But while I couldn't get into the factories, I did learn some wild things.
Esta es una empresa que la cerraron, te digo, a fuerzas y ya está funcionando.
Sí, hay
Y
trabajadores.
además también la cerraron por una semana y media porque ya abrieron de vuelta.
Sí, en secreto.
Ajá, les cambiaron hasta el horario para que...
Los ponían a trabajar de noche.
Wow. ¿Y qué hacían que era tan importante que no podían cerrar?
Nada, decían que son hacen cosas
No
para
eran esenciales, eran
algo para los aviones de guerra.
Claro. Cuando se trata de la guerra, se tiene que hacer.
Allá están ahí hacen, supuestamente decían que hacían cosas para hospitales, pero los descubrieron que no era cierto.
No, estaban mintiendo.
Ajá, sí. A esas también las vinieron a cerrar la fuerza TE.
Sí.
Esta es una de las que criticaron más porque tampoco querían cerrar. Y dicen que sacaron unos abanicos para decir qué es lo que estaban haciendo.
El guardia.
Y no era cierto.
Sí. El guardia nos miró chistoso. I couldn't confirm all the stories I was told, but one was even more intense than what my dad had told me. Tyco Electronics, a Swiss tech company, was shut down by the Secretary of Labor, among a number of other factories. Despite the closure, the company's HR department circulated a memo telling workers that they had been authorized to continue working, changing the hours of the workers to night shifts so they wouldn't be discovered. The secret operation seems to have worked out in their favor as the country was reopened just a week later. This, apparently, was a common tactic among these factories. So much of the United States economy is reliant on the hundreds of factories that are sprinkled throughout the northern Mexico border. While I didn't quite succeed at getting inside, I did come away learning way more about the extent of gringo dependence on the Mexican workers. And some things just don't change between countries. As we made our way home from the expedition, I found a familiar sign on the side of the West Med building.
Aquí trabaja negro.